Hello? I've been thinking about what it is that I find appealing about anarchism. And I think it's just that I disdain power and authority of any kind, really. I know you might say, well, what if someone's like the president of a group? Isn't he authority? Well, I think in certain cases you might be able to give someone administrative or managerial or organizational duties, but to the fulfillment of the interests of those in the group. But I'm talking about power and authority in terms of threats, ultimatums, do this or else. Type mentalities. Not a big fan of ultimatums of any kind, really. That's also why I don't really like the idea of ever having children. I don't like the idea of having power over someone else. And if you have a child, I mean, for one, you're like 100 times bigger. I mean, like, you're the size of a house to them. And they're very new to the world, so they depend on you to survive. I just don't like the idea of having that much power. So I feel that there's just something wrong about power and authority. Right, so it's why I don't like the idea of having children. Or at the very least, if I do, I'll try to be as nice and, well, as understanding as possible. I try to only use, like, if they're about to do something dangerous, I might pull them away. But that's only because I assume that they would appreciate it. Even if they didn't appreciate it right then, if it, like, saves their life, whatever. But for the most part, I would try Stuff on Molyneux's method. If you don't know what that is, check out StuffBot. And that's also why I like anarchism, because the whole ideal anarchism really is a world without power and authority, or at the very least, the least amount of power and authority as possible. To me, this is important enough to be like the main thing to consider in society, the state, government, sort of how things, family relations, personal relations. To me, what's very important is decreasing power relations. Power relations is the problem I see. And I wish I had a more articulate view of it. I think maybe this summer I'll read more Foucault. I know he has some views on it. But my main view is that it's sort of anti-reason, anti-mind to interact with other people through power and authority. I believe that the most moral kind of interactions with other people are mutual ones, where you deal with each other through reason and such. And also that also comes to the point of anarcho-pacifism and why I like that, or pacifistic views of anarchism. I hate violence so much, and power and authority. I feel like violence is connected to power and authority. And I feel like the best way to fight violence, power and authority might not be more violence. That's why I like to think that the best way to bring about a better, freer society with less power relations is through changing the culture as much as possible. But I feel like the culture has progressed a good amount, but I feel reasons to be pessimistic. Like, there are certain classes of people who seem to progress culturally. Like, they're not homophobic anymore, they're more secular, they're more logical, but there's always that class of people which never really changes, which is always backwards, which always has the very old ideas that are really holding humanity back. So things like that really make me pessimistic. I guess all you could do is try. Over time, hope that your culture sees authority or power as something bad, or at the very least that they learn to not use power too much. This is what I think, and this is why I don't like violence. I think stuff. I hate they quote him too much. I really do. He's the one I know a quote from at the moment off the top of my head. But he said something like the problem with using a violent revolution is that government and authority, and you're trying to be an authority when you, or a sort of a tyrant when you use violence against them. So that's why I don't really see violence as an issue, as the issue, or in terms of violent revolution, because it seems like the whole point of anarchism is decreasing power relations and violence only increases violence and power relations. Only if it's entirely defensive, and then force ever be used. I'm not even sure if I'd use it to defend myself, really. Maybe to defend someone else. But yeah, I would make a terrible boss, because maybe I wouldn't want to threaten people. I think I would, but I don't sugarcoat things either. So I'd be very clear with them if I think they're doing something incorrectly. And that's what I think too. And I think that also comes down to that people's emotions get into it too much, or they get offended. That's another thing that I think would be good if the word the feeling of offensiveness went away, so at least minimized a bit. So what I worry sometimes is that people in authority, they feel offended when people under them question the authority, and I think that they shouldn't be offended. When someone says something, you should, and if you feel offended, put that feeling of offense down somewhere else, put it off, and try to think rationally. Try to think, okay, well, what this guy said, it makes me mad, but I should think about it. This is really hard, like impossible for some people. Some people, you make them mad, or you offend them, and they just get angry and yell. This is why I can't watch certain shows, like that tree show, the loggers, whatever, or they chop down trees, whatever. I can't watch it because they get offended too easy. They want to show that they have power over each other, so they yell and act like animals, brutes. Not even men, I would say. And that is the problem. Also, I don't watch that shrimp fishing show. Same problem. They want to have power over each other, so whenever that power is ever questioned, they don't think rationally. They don't think, okay, well, was this challenge to my authority justified? Is he making any good points? No, it's, I'm offended that he would question me, and I should show my power over them by being a jerk. There's an episode in the shrimping show that really gets me. It gets me. One of the workers didn't follow orders because he didn't hear the order, and he got cursed at. And then the worker said, well, that's what happens when you have 6 captains. Instead of the captains thinking, oh, hey, maybe he's onto something. No, they made fun of him, and then they cursed at him, and then the guy, one of the captains, threatened to beat him up and got, this close to his face and yelled at him. I'm like, I don't know if you can call these humans. I don't know. I don't really mean. I'll just call them unwise. They're humans, but they lack wisdom of any kind. They're the kind of people I would not like to be around. And that's also why I don't think I could be a biker either. I don't know, maybe some biker groups, but bikers have this machismo about them. I've always been offended by machismo of any kind. Really, because what I feel like machismo is really evil and kind of nasty when you look at it. It's not a I'm proud of my achievements type thing, or any kind of nice thing you can think. It's more of a, look how tough I am. I want power. I have power over others. So when I see machismo, when I see someone with no sleeves on acting all tough, and whenever I see someone act tough, I just think, what are you doing? It's almost like if someone said, I'm for the Holocaust, look how great I am. Of course, that's evil. So whenever I see someone being machismo, I think that they are just evil. Well, they're incorrect. I try not to use value-laden words like evil too much. It's really hard not to sometimes, I tell you. But whenever I see machismo, I think they're really trying to show off how evil they are. I know I'm using the word evil, but really, they're trying to show how much power they have over others, or how much power they can get others to think that they have. And I find this disturbing. The more I find these kinds of things disturbing, the more I realize I live in a unhealthy society. And that this society I live in is screwy. Doesn't make any sense. I tell you, if you take philosophy seriously, if you question everything seriously, it is almost inevitable that you will feel like you're living in an insane, unhealthy, disturbed society. What is the solution? I don't even know. You could try changing the culture, but I'm still pessimistic. And it bugs me.